Folks, huge weekend for director Ryan Coogler, actor Michael B. Jordan, and the whole cast of the movie Sinners. Folks, man, they set a record for an original movie, the highest grossing original movie since 2019. They took in $48 million at the domestic box office, again, setting the new mark for the best box office launch for the original film since the pandemic. It has gotten a huge response on Rotten Tomatoes. Go to my iPad. On Rotten Tomatoes, they earn a 98% critics and a 97% audience score, the highest score for a studio-wide release since Universal DreamWorks' The Wild Robot. They earned an A on CinemaScore, marking the first time in 39 years that a horror film has earned a grade that high from the audience. That is absolutely huge, and they expect to do big business the next several days. Actor Omar Miller is in the movie. He joins us right now. Omar, glad to have you here. Man, y'all all got to feel pretty doggone good.
Come on. These sinners got blessed this weekend. It worked out.
The thing that's also amazing is very interesting here. I've been seeing all these folk talk about this deal that Ryan Coogler cut where he gets ownership of the film in 25 years. And boy, it's some folks, they hot and bothered. Well,
Ooh, they got them upset.
Yeah, but here's the deal, though. If the movie tanked, they wouldn't be saying nothing. See, the reality is...
And we've seen quite a few headlines that kind of intimated that they wanted the film to tank.
Yeah, absolutely. And an audience has turned out in record numbers. And what's great about this wasn't a cape. It wasn't a superhero. It was an original idea. And I think that's what the public has been craving, something new, fresh, original, and not a sequel or a prequel or the 10th or the 11th of the same tired concept.
Well, you know, and I think you've been a trailblazer in this with your company and with your show. I'm a longtime viewer and listener. I want to tell you, I appreciate the love that you always gave Jasmine and I on Ballers, because you were always a vocal supporter, and I appreciate that. And in kind, I try to return the support on your network. And I think that the big thing that we're seeing is it's on us. It's on us as business people, as entrepreneurs, as the electorate. Top to bottom, it's on us, and we have to do what we can to reward the people who actually give us what we want and what we need. Ryan got rewarded by the audience because he delivered a picture which was original, entertaining, educational, nostalgic, and it's something that just lands on you and sticks with you because he accurately portrayed a dynamic portrayal of us as people.
What's also just great about it, I mean, it was just sort of like just a wave that was just moving. I mean, over the weekend, I saw folk who were saying, I went in the theater, had no idea what the hell I was watching, and then they were raving about it, and folk were live posting while they were in the middle of the movie, and you actually just begin to see this thing build. There were people who were saying, oh, okay, but on Thursday, Friday, oh, yeah, this might do, 30, 35 million. All of a sudden, it was like boom, 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 boom. That number just kept going higher and higher.
No matter what you pay for advertising-wise, word of mouth is still the most powerful form of advertisement and endorsement that you can get. And when people started to see this film and it got unleashed on the public and it really sticks with you, I can't explain it if you haven't seen it yet. There's a mesmerizing effect. Now, as a person in the film, I'm somebody that watches with a professional eye. I actually can watch this film as a fan. And I, too, got mesmerized by the music. I, too, got mesmerized by the visuals. And even if you look at the clip where Ryan did the piece where he's explaining the different ways to see the film, and that went viral. It's because this man has so much passion for what he does, and he had such a clear vision, him and his wife, for what they were doing. It translated onto the celluloid, and then it hits you. It really hits you and goes to show you the power of art and the power of film.
Folks, y'all got the trailer. If you got it, go ahead and play it.
The summertime has come, and the trees are sweetly blooming. The wild mountain thyme
I will build my love about by a young, cool and crystal fountain. On it I will plant all the flowers of the mountain. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to the wild mountain thyme, all around the hill. Will you go, lassie, go? Will you go, lassie, go?
I haven't seen that trailer.
That's a new one. It was an original one they released. That was the one they released last week that spoke to it. And a lot of folks, man, are talking about the powerful performance of Delroy Lindo.
Oh, I've watched Delroy my entire career, and before I became an actor, I paid money to go see Delroy Lindo in films, like when I was a child and saw Malcolm X in the theater. You know, it's so great to work with somebody of his stature and of his talent level, and to see how he prepares and how he gets busy. His portrayal in this film of Delta Slim, a real bad blues man, is representative of so much. And I think that people are identifying it because he reminds you of somebody that you know in your family. And his portrayal is just so authentic. He's just so honest on screen. He deserves all the flowers.
Questions from my panel. Let's see. Has anyone on the panel seen the movie? Did y'all see the movie this weekend?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Omekongo, you get to go first then.
Yeah, I was one of those people who didn't know what to expect. And so halfway through, when I started seeing red eyes, I'm like, oh, my goodness. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. And my question for you, Omar, is this. When I saw Black Panther in 2018, I came out with, like a lot of Black people, with our chest stuck out, because we were just so proud Trump being in office. It was something that we needed in the moment. Even though this movie is different, are you getting the same types of vibes, particularly from Black people who are seeing this movie with all of the anti-DEI stuff going on, that this is the movie we need in this moment?
First of all, thanks for coming out on the weekend, because the opening weekend means so much in Hollywood and for the commerce of films. Secondly, absolutely. I actually had a deep conversation earlier with a friend of mine where we were speaking about how when Panther came out, it was the right movie for that time. And part of the brilliance of what Coogler is able to do is Sinners is the right film for us as a culture at this time. And I don't think it's just the right film for us as Black folks. It's especially the right picture for us as Black folks. But it's the right picture for Americans. Because this film speaks about the promise of America and the broken promises of America and the promise of freedom. And, here we're not dealing with any kind of Black trauma porn film. This is a film you come out of and you feel further resilience, and you recognize that you have to examine where we are in society and where you personally are on your journey, morally, ethically, and what are you willing to do for your freedom?
Thank you.
Renita?
Yes, thank you for being with us, Omar. This is such a treat. I cannot wait to see Sinners. In fact, I'm going to have to see it a couple times in the theater. My question is this. People are saying that Ryan Coogler, they believe he has created a new genre of film, in creating this movie. My impression of this from everything I've read about Sinners is that maybe people are saying that because this is definitely a fantasy film because it's got vampires involved, but at the same time, it's going deep into racial reckoning, it's going deep into showing the reality of living in the Jim Crow South around the 30s. And so do you think that that's why people are saying that? Because you don't usually see something that's both fantasy, but also showing having like these deep kind of racial conversations at the same time and showing the reality of a period of time in history? Or do you think they're saying something else?
It's hard to explain this film without seeing this film, which has made it difficult to market, which is why I think Ryan once again showed his genius with his marketing plan. But I think that what's happening is the genre conversation he's done something that is so intimate and so personal to him that specificity is landing and creating universality amongst the audience, because the film covers a take on capitalism. It examines our social situations. It examines our spiritual place. It examines a lot, and you can't help but to have that land on you if you experience and watch the film. And so with that, I think some of it has to do with the fantasy part. The problem with saying that he created a new genre, it implies the idea that somebody else could then recreate it. I don't think anybody else can make this movie. And I think that if you try to make a movie like this, you have a very, very high bar to meet.
Julian.
Well, first of all, thank you for being with us. I appreciate it. Let me say, I was very apprehensive. I have not seen the film. Now, after listening to you and seeing that new trailer, I will go see it. I don't like horror movies. They freak me out. I have nightmares about them. What I've heard this described as horror and fantasy, and I don't like vampires either, for any number of reasons. But I'm convinced. But
Child, you love Jesus. Just go on to the doggone movie. All that damn.
Let me tell you something. I'm a card-carrying Christian, okay? I'm a card-carrying Christian. Yesterday, I celebrated Resurrection Day with a prime rib with my mama, who was a Sunday school teacher for 30 years. I'm here to tell you that the film is appropriately titled Sinners. It is not, I wouldn't describe it as a horror film. There's elements of horror in it. There's vampires in it, but it is not a vampire film. And the reason this film is resonating with so many people is because it doesn't sit in one category or one genre. I suggest you give it a chance, because the conversation starter that this film is, you won't be able to get away from.
In fact, Delroy Lindo said that. He said that this is not a horror film. Julian, go ahead.
well, the question, do I need to bring some people with me because I'm a freak out in there?
Yeah, fine. Bring your chaperone. Julian, your ass, what? How old are you, Julian?
71?
You 71. Why in the hell you need to bring somebody with you to the damn...
You may want to bring some people with you, but only because you're going to have to talk to somebody about the film once you see the film. I've never been in a picture that makes people want to speak about it and rewatch it the way that this one is. And I've been doing this for a good amount of time.
Okay, I'm going to take your word for it, brother.
I promise. I'll give you a refund if you don't like it.
All right.
Lord have mercy. She just sitting here. Oh goodness. And so I know she don't even know. So I know some folks laugh because so Omar, I have a very strict rule. See, a lot of these movie companies and these streaming services and networks, they never like to spend money with black-owned media. So that's why I don't typically have folk on. So you're on.
I understand that. So thank you.
I mean, and so you're on because your publicist reached out. I was like, absolutely, you're right. I love you and the sister who's on Ballers. I love y'all.
Jasmine.
Jasmine, y'all should have had a spinoff because the two of y'all were just hilarious. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna have them on. But that's always my thing there. So let Warner Brothers know that you got on because of you.
We count on that, and I'm going to publicize it because of you. And because let me tell you, I appreciate the black-owned business element. I grew up; my parents are entrepreneurs. I know how hard the hustle is, and I know that we have to support if we're ever going to get out of this rat race that we're in, where they thinks that they can sidestep us and our businesses.
Absolutely. And so we do have a scene with you in the movie. Roll it.
What y'all doing? Just step aside and let me on in now.
Why you need him to do that? You big and strong enough to push past us?
Well, that wouldn't be too polite now, would it, Miss Annie? I don't know why I'm talking to you anyway. Smoke.
Don't talk to him. You talking to me right now. Why you can't just walk your big ass up in here without an invite, huh? Go ahead. Admit to it.
Admit to what?
That you dead.
So you listening to this? Now we out here playing games, telling ghost stories in place of doing what we ought to do.
And what is it we supposed to be doing?
Being kind to one another. And being polite. Now, we is one people, and we shouldn't go in barging into other folks' places uninvited, so. You've been in and out of here all day. Ain't never need an invite in. Yeah, something ain't adding up. Can I at least get my money?
Careful.
See, that's the money he gonna get. Julian, why you jumping?
I didn't expect that. That's why.
Julian, your ass literally jumping on Skype right now.
I'm sorry.
You should definitely bring a chaperone, Julianne. Miss Julianne, you need to bring a chaperone.
Yeah, she gonna have to bring somebody. Matter of fact, and you need the money back. That's the money he gonna give you that he took from
promise.
That's what he gonna give you the money. Lord have mercy. She is jumpy. She is jumpy right here on Skype. Oh Lord. My goodness. Well, it has done gangbusters, and I love these people who are sitting here having the audacity to say, well, you know, it ain't gonna do well overseas. I just want the haters, Omar, to keep hating, and I want them to have to sit here and have to accept how good the movie is doing. And again, they've been saying for years, oh, black movies can't do well. Well, we know what happened with Django, how well it did internationally. And I just really hope all these folk who have been running their mouths just get embarrassed every day as the numbers come in. That's what I hope.
Well, it's a lot of crow on the menu, and there's going to be a lot of people that got to eat it, because I'm here to tell you this film is going to perform. Once you speak to somebody who speaks so passionately after they've seen it, you'll be like Miss Julianne and go see it. And this thing stays with you. And so right now, we're number one in several countries around the world, not just the United States, not just North America. We're number one in France. We're number one in the UK. We're number one all over the place. And it's because the brilliance of Coogler and Ryan's relation and Mike's relationship is that these are human stories.
Right.
They're specifically wrapped up in the blackness. But as we know, we create culture for the whole world to consume. And what we do and determine as cool then in turn translates to every language, to every society. And these stories are going to do just that. And you'll see the numbers are going to keep piling up.
Folks, this is from Box Office Mojo. I'm always going to their side. You see right here, the domestic gross was $48 million. International was $15.5 million. And so Sinners did $63.5 million. Its opening weekend, $91 million budget. And Variety had this story, which I thought was just laughable. Oh, will they be able to make the money back? I'm like, first of all, it was so stupid. No movie, I don't care what the movie is, makes its budget back the first weekend.
Especially no original film.
No superhero movie makes, the movie costs $200 million and the marketing budget is going to be $150 million. That's $350 million. They don't make that opening weekend. That story was a joke. I think it was in actually the New York Times or Variety, one of them. But it was just
I think it was Variety, which is unfortunate because that's an industry, trade magazine. The other piece that is fortunate about that, though, and I think this is the lesson to be had, one of the most vocal voices saying this is a ridiculous headline is Ben Stiller, who is a Hollywood heavyweight who has plenty of box office behind him. And he pointed out that no other film would ever warrant this headline. And he lets you read between the lines on the why. Patrick Schwarzenegger came out speaking about how ridiculous it is. Joe Russo, who I worked with actually before, of the Russo brothers Avengers fame and Marvel fame, came out and blasted it. It's all right. The haters are going to hate. But truth be told, you can't stop this because, as you see on social media, this film is a movement. Sinners is out. Good luck if you can get a ticket, because this thing is going to run.
All right. Omar Miller, I appreciate it, my brother. Thank you so very much.
Roland, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you to the panel. Thank you for having me. And, hey, man, Godspeed.
Appreciate it, my brother. Thanks a lot. Folks, I'm looking for the tweet that they posted, and it really was laughable on Congo that Variety posted this. I wonder if it's even still up. I purposely took a screenshot last night thinking that they may delete it because they caught so much flack over the post. So first of all, you see here, 8 hours ago, they have this here, 5 reasons why Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan Sinners ruled the box office, but that's not the one everybody is talking about. I'm looking for, I have the screenshot, guys, I have the screenshot, but I'm purposely looking to see if their tweet is still up. The thing that was just, what was crazy to me is when you see these stories. And in fact, not just them, the New York, I'm gonna pull up the New York Times. Same thing. Their headline was just dumb. How they wrote about Quentin Tarantino's movie, and then this movie here, similar budget, being original. It was just dumb. But see, this is the dumb stuff that we see constantly with this. And let's see. Here it is. This is the tweet. This is why people are criticizing them. Sinners has amassed $61 million in its global debut. It's a great result for an original R-rated horror film, yet the Warner Brothers release has a $90 million price tag before global marketing expenses, so profitability remains a ways away. That is just stupid, Omakongo, just stupid.
Yeah, their inability to read the room as it relates to this movie and that low-key hate. I'm glad Ben Stiller and other people have called this out. The fact of the matter is, it's a powerful movie. It's an original movie, and you, like you said, it crushed it over the weekend. At one point in the weekend, it surpassed Minecraft, and I think it surpassed Minecraft for the entire weekend, right? So really, at the end of the day, why can't they just celebrate the greatness of this movie? Like you said, the fact that it's not a comic book movie sequel, the fact that it's not based off of a video game. This is, two brothers in Coogler and Jordan doing their thing, and after one weekend to say something like that, to try to throw some salt on what they're doing right now, it's absolutely ridiculous, particularly in a time where I saw Minecraft, no black males in that cast. You got movies like Fantastic Four that's coming up, no black males, Marvel's Thunderbolts, both Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts, I don't think have any black male or female leads. And so this was a powerful movie, but like Miller said, this was a movie for everybody. And so why don't you just let it give it its run like we do with every other movie, like you do in Variety with every other movie, and stop throwing hate on this. But like Miller said, this is one of those movies that has broken through, and it has broken through quickly, and it's becoming a movement to go and be in this space. So they're, like he said, they're going to be in Crow really soon.
I love it when the haters, who is this fool? Somebody named Tom Snyder, some conservative. I love this here. This is going to give y'all more reason to go watch it. Sinners is a racist, ultra-violent, woke pagan horror that spreads lies and falsehoods about American music and about white people. We refute the movie's woke lies here. We really don't care, Julian. We don't care, Tom Snyder, who goes by at Film Doctor. Suck it.
Wow.
I mean, that's such a ridiculous level of vitriol for a movie. They market racist movies every day. This is not one of them. I didn't see it, but it doesn't sound like one to me. It sounds like a re-examination of history. And frankly, when the brother said examination of capitalism, I'm like, okay, I'm there. I'm gonna have to take a couple people with me because I am jumpy, but I will try to go see it tomorrow. Actually.
Yeah, there you go. Renita?
Yeah, as it relates to the both the Variety comment about, well, it's a ways away from profitability, and also the other comment you just read, I think that what is at the root of all this is these are the type of folks who want it to be the case that America does not need diversity. So what they're mad at is not so much about the movie, but they're mad about how successful the movie is doing in a time when they're trying to run these anti-DEI agendas that basically the root of it says all we need is whiteness to be successful in the country, and the country can survive and thrive off of that. And it's just not true. With diversity, companies make more money, products do better. And it is because that reflects the entire culture, and it reflects the melting pot that America is. And so they want it to be the case that anything that involves any type of diversity is going to fail. And that's why they're so mad about this movie. But I'm going to tell you this. like you said before, it's completely ridiculous that they think that this movie is not going to make its budget, because I love vampire movies. I saw a preview for Sinners a couple months ago and was like, I couldn't wait to see it. And I didn't even know it was a movie that had anything to do with vampires, even at that point. But once people started to see it last week, and I found out it had something to do with vampires, it made me want to see it even more. The thing is that there were a lot of folks like myself who could not get there the first week because it was so packed. So what I'm saying is there are a lot of people waiting to spend their money to help this film recoup its costs, and it will do well, and it will recoup its budget plus more, because there are so many folks like myself who are just waiting for an opportunity to be able to get into the theater. I have a friend who works at the movie theater, and he has said that it looks to him that people are literally taking off of work to go see this movie, because the theaters are full Saturday morning at 10 a.m., Monday morning at 10 a.m. The theater is full at times where people would actually be at work. The theater that he works at, they've canceled showing the other movies, and now all of the rooms are showing Sinners. So people are breaking their necks to see this movie. So the only reason that this movie has not already recouped its budget is because literally theaters don't have enough space to hold everybody at one time who wants to see this movie.
So just so y'all understand framing, this is the New York Times when Quentin Tarantino's movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood released. You see right here, this is the headline. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a box office hit for Tarantino. Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt helped the director score one of the biggest opening weekends of his career. That's how they framed that. Now, mind you, that movie made $40.4 million opening weekend. Similar budget to Sinners. This is their New York Times framing of Sinners. Sinners is a box office success with a big asterisk. Ryan Coogler's original horror film was expected to sell a strong $46 million in tickets over the weekend, enough for number one, but its profitability remains a long way off.
Wow.
Y'all just saw right there.
Wow.
2 different headlines in the New York Times about movies, similar budget, similar proceeds.
Wow. Wow. I'm so glad you brought that up. I had no idea. And they're talking about it's a long way off. Like, when do we start forecasting what a movie's going to ultimately make after one weekend or two?
Typically, the only time they do that is when a movie tanks and they say, yeah, this movie's not. Normally when a movie tanks, let's say a movie was expected to do 50 million opening weekend and it does 35. They know what happens in successive weeks. That is, your numbers drop. Now, typically, and again, for folks who, because I go to Box Office Mojo all the time. And so when you look at movies, so like last weekend, they had, you see, the perfect example, let me go right here, a Minecraft movie. So, a Minecraft movie. So, here we go right here. All right, so what you'll see is, when you look at these numbers here, you see the drop-off, okay, how a movie performs. So Minecraft, you see when it opened April 11th, you see the numbers, but then you see a drop. So there's a natural tendency, and also look at the theaters. It opened in 4,263 theaters. Then April 20th, it was in 4,032. So typically that movie has been out now for 3 weeks. So you'll see that kind of drop. So you'll see a drop in numbers because it's not the opening weekend. So they measure movies by, do you see a 20% drop, 25% drop, 30% drop? Some movies go from the opening weekend to the second weekend having a 60, 70% drop off. Those things happen. But the reality is, this type of, I would not be shocked if come next Monday, Sinners drop off might be 20%, because it's going to have stronger word of mouth between today and this weekend.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I'll probably go see it again during that time. So We'll see how that goes. But this is a fact. What's beautiful about it is that people are showing that we can be out there. We can be original. We don't need to be all up in their spaces. And this is kind of like the reverse effect of what we talked about with Target in the last segment. We can get out there and support those who support us and want to see them do great. And Variety and New York Times and all of these other guys out there who are hating, and that guy with the one video, whatever that was on Twitter that you showed, who breaks down the film, they should all be ashamed of themselves. But like you said, Miller said, it doesn't matter. We're going to keep on going with it.
Absolutely nonsensical. All right, folks, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Let's talk about Target. The call for the boycott began February 1st. And remember, Target on January 24th, Target announced they were ending their DEI policies. Their stock was around $145, something along those lines. Today, Target stock closed at $93.78. If you look at this chart here, you will see, please drop the lower third. Thank you. Look at this chart here, you will see how their stock has performed in the last 6 months. Their stock is down $57.13 in the last 6 months. That's almost 38%. They lost more than $12 billion in market share. Now, understand, there are multiple things that are happening here. You get a group in Minneapolis of sisters who called for a boycott of Target. Nakima Levy Armstrong was a part of that. Then We Are Somebody, Nina Turner's group, the day after the DEI announcement called for the boycott, they launched theirs February 1st. Pastor Jamal Bryant had targetfast.org. That was launched on March 5th, and when he launched it, he said it was going to go from Lent to Easter. Well, yesterday, he addressed this from the pulpit and made clear that the boycott is not over.
I want to thank you because you don't even know that you are a part of history, that you've been a part of history. The Montgomery bus boycott was so significant because it shifted the economy of one city by standing strong. They did it for 381 days. Not since the Montgomery bus boycott has Black America come together in such a unified vision, a unified focus, and a unified front. And we've done it, ladies and gentlemen, we have done it for 10 weeks. For 10 weeks. We've stayed out of Target. It didn't start with us, but there was already a grassroots movement afoot that was doing a Target boycott. We came along just as one church and said that the body of Christ needed to be a part of it, and that we were going to take fasting as a spiritual principle because we understand that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty unto God for the pulling down of strongholds. I announced it to you the Sunday before Ash Wednesday, and I wanted to pause and thank you for standing in line with the vision of your pastor at the prompting of the Holy Ghost. Can you believe, with a small movement that started in this church, 200,000 people signed to be a part of the Target fast? When we started this Target Fast, $1 trillion company, a Fortune 500 company, was trading on the New York Stock Exchange at $138 a share. Because of how it is that stridently you have put your hand to the plow, their stock started at $138 a share. As of Friday, it is down to $94 a share. Foot traffic at Target has gone down by 7.9%. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you will share with me your enthusiasm for people who thought it was ineffective and there would be no results, is that because of your fast, Target has lost $12 billion. Come on, y'all ought to be shouting. They tried to put out a statement that their loss is because of the economy, because of tariffs with China. But the reality is that while they were losing, Costco was gaining. Come on, I can't hear nobody. And I am so grateful that there is power in unity, and we know the strength of black economics. Ladies and gentlemen, black people are the 12th wealthiest nation in the world with spending power. Don't ever undervalue or underestimate your power and your authority. I need to give God glory for black business and for black dollars. It's a critical meeting and critical moment for us. It's a critical moment for our people. It's a critical moment for the nation to see us unified. And as a consequence, we understand that power concedes nothing without a demand. Those of you who are not aware, we launched a website, targetfast.org. We asked for 4 things to happen. Number 1 is that they would stand by the pledge that they made after the killing and the murder of George Floyd to invest $2 billion into black business. That was our first ask, because after Donald Trump came into office, they rescinded on that promise. The second ask that we had is that because black people spend $12 million a day at Target, we asked that they would put $250 million into black banks so that black people would have access to capital to start businesses and to go into home ownership. The third thing that we asked for is that they would partner with 6 HBCUs and their business programs so that we could teach young people how to scale businesses and to create generational wealth. Because they'll never be wealthy having to work for somebody else. They have to do it, doing it for themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, you already have read the report that a meeting took place. And in that meeting, I wanted to share with you the outcome of it. We had 4 asks and only walked away with 1 thing. I want to tell you what that one thing is Target has agreed Target has agreed that by July the 31st, they will complete the pledge of $2 billion for black business. That's billion with a B. But the other 3 things we have no commitment on, and we don't have anything to stand on because their currency does not ride with us. If in all of these years we have been loyal customers and clients, and then in the moment of dis-ease you turn your back. And so I had to share with Target that we gave you 40 days to answer 4, not 1. And they only came back with 1. So I told them what I'm getting ready to tell you, we ain't going back in there. And so the fast shifts to a full-out boycott. It's a full-out boycott. And I'm asking you, if you have not already done so, go to targetfast.org and go and register. This coming Tuesday, I am doing a town hall meeting that I want everybody in the community to come, everybody in the community to be a part of. I sent last night an invitation to the president and CEO of Target, as well as the chairman of the board, to come to New Birth on this coming Tuesday to speak to the people directly, not in a private closed meeting, but in an open venue to talk about where Target's commitment is and where it is that we are going. So Tuesday, I don't know whether it is that the president is coming or the chair of the board is coming or anybody for that matter from Target is coming, but I need you to be here so that we plan and chart out what is our future going forward. I also wanted you to know that this is not a New Birth effort or a Jamal Bryant project. This is a national move. And so as a consequence, on Tuesday, I will be introducing to you what is the national committee on this Target boycott. I am introducing all of them by name and by organization and affiliation so that Target knows you only talk to these people. Everybody don't represent us. Y'all ain't saying nothing. But these are the people who are in agreement, in alignment with where it is that we are going and how it is that we move. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you realize it or not, we are now in the new civil rights movement.
Folks, joining us right now is Nina Turner. She is founder of We Are Somebody and is a part of this movement. Nina, you know, a lot of folks, so that a lot of different things are happening. And one of the things that Jamal said there, I've said on this show as well, that there are different facets. There are people who never even signed up who are boycotting. There are people who watch this show and who are like, yo, we're down with it. People who are listening other places as well. And the reality is, we are seeing what happens when collective action happens. On Friday, there was a meeting. Target CEO was there with Reverend Al Sharpton. Jamal Bryant was there in New York. A couple other folks were in that meeting as well. And I understand that he's been meeting with other black civil rights organizations. They have not publicly stated that they have been meeting with them. But the point that he made there is critically important. The group that's leading this boycott is the group that's going to be negotiating with Target.
That's right. That's right, Ro. And certainly big ups to you and Unfiltered for getting that message out there. There's a confluence and there is something to be said about universal thought. When Target made this announcement on January the 24th, as you remember and have been sharing with their audience, on January 25th, We Are Somebody was out there. I get by with a little help from my friends calling on Until Freedom. Tamika Mallory, he's one of the co-founders of Until Freedom, and then, you know, bringing up the pastor. But there were local things happening at the same time, which is beautiful. And to your point about that 200,000 who signed on, but there are millions of people, millions of eyes have been on the various outlets, both social media, your show, and other shows that have lifted this national boycott. The fast was a phase of a larger boycott. And as Pastor Brian laid out there, answering one of the demands, and let me just say that one demand to spend $2 billion with the black community from 2020 to now was already there. So that's nothing new, but they did not answer the other demands. And I don't think that the CEO of Target, Brian Cornell, truly understands the pain points that he caused by bending to bigotry. This is bigger than DEI, but DEI is a part of it. What is wrong with having diversity, equity, and inclusion in your company DNA and also in the DNA of this country? Folks miss the point that we need DEI and other things. I mean, obviously we need to go deeper than that because there's a wrong that has been happening in this country for generations. So I'm really glad to see this organizing committee to come together. Tamika Mallory, myself, and Pastor Jamal Bryant did have an opportunity on Saturday to talk to one of the representatives of Target, and we've gotten no further than they did when they all had that meeting previously.
See, the thing that folk have to understand is that when Target talked about the $2 billion, that wasn't oh, we're going to be spending $2 billion collectively. That was supposed to be annually.
Talk about it, Ro.
I mean, that was supposed to be annually. So this idea in terms of what, I mean, this is the corporate statement that they dropped on April 7th, 2021. They said as part of their commitment, let me get this up on the screen 1 second. As part of their commitment, they wanted to add products from more than 500 Black-owned businesses across its multi-category assortment, increase its spend with more Black-owned companies, such as marketing agencies, construction companies, facilities, maintenance, and more, establish new resources, including the Forward Founders Program to support Black-owned companies and help them grow their business. It's right here. It said Target announced a commitment to spend more than $2 billion with Black-owned businesses by the end of 2025. Now, one of the things that they've said to Jamal that they're going to meet this by July. Here's what we haven't seen. Who? We ain't seen a list. List of company amount. Company amount. When they say marketing agencies, I don't know who. Black-owned media, I think Target did. I'll check with my guys. I think Target did something with us like 3 years ago, and it was real small, and we ain't heard from them since. And so the point here is, which is what Dr. King talked about in his April 3rd, 1968 final sermon at Mason Temple, when he said, again, he said we must, he talked about, the pain. We must redistribute the pain. The bottom line is these companies are making billions off of us, and there's no ROI. They're not spending with Black-owned media. They're not using Black transportation companies, Black law firms, Black accounting firms, Black engineering firms, Black construction companies. And if they think that we're just going to keep sitting there rolling up in your store, they're wrong. And this is also sending a message, not just to Target, but to a whole bunch of other companies saying, do understand, y'all are next.
That's right. There's power in our purchase. I mean, people need to hashtag that. It's power in our purchase. And to add to that, Ro, he promised this off of the back of when George Floyd was murdered. It was right when he came out and said George Floyd could have been one of my Target team members, and therefore I'm going to do X, Y, Z. All of the things that you enumerated and put on screen, they said that they were going to expand their diversity goals at the time to increase representation of Black employees across its workforce by 20% over the next year. So that would have been from 2020 to 2021. And that the company would start a new program to help Black entrepreneurs develop, test, and scale their products. They did some of that, but once Donald J. Trump came on the scene, all of those promises made all of a sudden became something that was expendable. And so the question for the CEO is, did you believe those things when you said it? Was it right and moral and also economically viable for Target too? Because they ain't just do this out of the goodness of their heart. When you said those words and now all of a sudden you don't have a commitment. So the ire in the Black community is that you made a promise to us off of the death of George Floyd, and now all of a sudden you have a neo-fascist in the White House and you don't care. You don't really give a damn about the Black community and other marginalized communities. And dare I say, ever since they made that commitment to stand with this president, they have decreased some of the shelf space. There is no guarantee for those Black businesses. And shout out, Ro, to the Black business owners who said on their own, if the Black community is boycotting, we don't want them to purchase none of our stuff out of Target. Come purchase from us directly. That is a beautiful thing. That has to be answered to as well, that we have to continue to support these Black businesses. How do we shore up Black institutions because of this? Because it's Target today. Other companies are folding to the bigotry. The Black community and other marginalized communities remain vulnerable unless we unite in the way that we're doing right now and letting them know, to your point, the point I'm making, to Mika, Pastor Bryant, and so many others, you're not going to play us, and that there's power in our purchase. And as my grandma used to say, I can show you better than I can tell you.
As we know, these companies are real good at trying to pick off different organizations, try to have separate meetings. And it's important for organizations to know, if there are any Black organizations who are trying to have side meetings with Target, and they are not a part of this boycott, they have not used any of their resources or notified people, if they are not communicating with the leaders of this boycott, we gonna call them out publicly, because what cannot happen is for folk who ain't invested anything in this effort to then go try to break off a few crumbs by negotiating behind the backs of the people who are actually doing the work.
Amen, bro. Let the church say amen. That is important, that we don't allow ourselves to be picked off. This boycott is absolutely working, which is why Target is going to this leader, this community. You know, they even met with some of our Hispanic sisters and brothers trying to pick off, pit black and brown people against each other too. No, we can't have that. We have got to stand solid and stand strong. And the point that you've been making, Rowan, thank you for that. You can't inch around the people who actually had the courage to get this thing started. Now, of course, this is bigger than any leader, any national leader, any grassroots leader, because we needed the people to pull this off. And so the people have shown, both the black community and others who are in allyship with us, they have shown that, hey, we are rocking with you. Even in the LGBTQ plus community in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Minneapolis in particular, they turned down Roe. When Target did this, that Pride group turned down the $50,000 or $60,000 that they were getting from Target regularly and said, you know what? And they can least afford it. But they said, you know what? You want to roll with bigotry? We don't want your money. So from a grassroots group like that to others, to your point, come on, black folks, you can't have these side meetings with these people and take crumbs when we have a larger vision here.
Absolutely. And so let me just be as clear as possible. If there is any black group and we find out you are having a side meeting and you have not communicated with any of the leaders of this Target Boycott Advisory or Organizing Committee, I'm letting you know right now, I'm going to put you on Front Street and I'm going to tell the people that you are meeting, and we going to call y'all out and then smoke y'all out to force you to say, why'd you go talk to them? What you talked about? What are you negotiating? Because this is the game they've always played. How can they find the least expensive Negro? That has always been their strategy. And so I don't owe nobody. So let's just be real clear. So I don't owe nobody. Look, our show is here because our fans give to our show. That's how we make our money. And so I ain't afraid to call nobody out. So I'm just letting y'all know, if you're having side meetings and you ain't talking to nobody and you cutting side deals, I'm going to call your asses out.
Well, bro, you called unfiltered for a reason. So folks know, they know when you say it, word is bond.
Just let them know. All right, Nina, we appreciate it. There's a town hall tomorrow. What time is that town hall in Atlanta tomorrow?
It's at New Birth Road. I think it starts at 7. Don't quote me on that. I think it's 7 or 7:30, but it's at New Birth. And I will definitely be in the place. And Tamika Mallory will be in the place representing her organization. I think Brother Ben Chavis will be there as well. There'll be a whole host of other national leaders that will be there. So join us if you can. Please join us. New Birth.
All right, Nina Turner, we are somebody. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
crying and complaining, saying that, oh, Joe Biden, he didn't do enough to end student debt relief, even though he tried to get rid of all student loan debt relief, went to the U.S. Supreme Court. U.S. Supreme Court said no, and then he turned around, and then they figured out within the rules how they could wipe out more than 150, upwards of $200 billion in student loan debt. And then people were still bitching and moaning about how they wanted him to wipe out student loan debt relief when it was already clear it didn't happen. So maybe if a bunch of those same people had voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, then that would have happened, because then she would have appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. But that's another story. So what then happens? Folks sit on their asses, they don't vote, or some vote for MAGA, and guess what we now get? This from the clueless press secretary Carolyn Leavitt about student loans.
The Trump administration has announced we will put an end to Joe Biden's illegal student loan bailout attempts. No student loan has been referred to collections since March of 2020. That comes to an end. On May 5th, the Department of Education will resume involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion, but fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable, unfair, and a huge liability for American taxpayers. Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others. So why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans? The Trump administration will never force taxpayers to pay student loan debts that don't belong to them. Student loan borrowers need clarity, and we're finally giving it to them. Borrowers will now be clearly expected to repay their loans, and those who default on their loan obligations will face involuntary collections. The government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding money from borrowers' tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages. America is $36 trillion in debt. We must get our fiscal house in order and restore common sense to our country. If you take out a loan, you have to pay it back. It's very simple.
Really? Okay, gotcha. Tell that when taxpayers Trump used $25 billion to give to farmers and last time because of his dumb tariff decision. Roxanne Garza, Director of Policy at Ed Trust, joins us now from Washington, D.C. Roxanne, glad to have you here. Elections have consequences. You know, a lot of people complaining about Biden, didn't do enough. He was catching hell from all sorts of people, and they just ignored the almost $200 billion in student loan debt relief that actually took place. Well, guess what? Now people are realizing that Trump don't give a damn, and they're now going to have to deal with the possibility of their wages being garnished.
Yeah, no, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me to talk about this issue. Yes, as we just now heard, that is the plan. So next month, for the first time in about five years, federal student loan borrowers will start to face the financial consequences of missed payments on their student loans. So the people that we're talking about here are, people that are potentially delinquent on their loans currently. So that means you've missed a payment, you missed up to 3 payments, so you can be delinquent for 90 days. After those 90 days, your loan is essentially flagged as delinquent. At that point, it can affect your credit score. And then, once you're about 9 months of no payment, then your loan goes into default. And that's when you can really see these very serious financial consequences, like she said, wage garnishments, tax credit garnishment, Social Security, things that, people really rely on to make ends meet. Those are things that that the government can start to garnish in order to, essentially make a payment on that debt that you owe.
I'm sure a lot of these people really wouldn't mind if Kamala Harris is the one who was sitting in the Oval Office.
Well, I think the one point that is important to make here is that 2025 was going to be the year that these consequences were going to be faced. I think the problem that you have right now is that, or the thing that might have been different in another situation, is that this is happening all while this administration has decimated the Department of Education by, essentially cutting half of its staff, making big cuts to the staff in the Federal Student Aid Office that is really charged with managing this process. And also all while they are wanting to make changes, installing essentially applications for student loan repayment options that are more manageable, like the SAVE plan that would reduce payments for borrowers. So I think the real issue is that this is happening all while this administration is doing a lot of other things that are hurtful, that are causing chaos for student borrowers. So it's really creating a perfect storm of all of these things kind of coming to a head at the same time. And this is really the last thing the borrowers need when there's already a lot of chaos, a lot of unanswered questions about what they should be doing, how they should be repaying their loans. I think this is the other thing to really take note is, people want to make payments on their loans. They want the payment to be manageable, but they want to make payments, but they don't know how. Like the process just isn't clear for people to start going down that path of finding like the right repayment plan for themselves and really starting to make those payments. So the idea that, this administration is trying to bring clarity in this moment, if anything, there's a lot of chaos and confusion in this moment.
And they're not going to give them any relief. They're going to be, hard asses on this. I mean, folks just might as well get used to it.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't think that we will necessarily, see a lot of leniency or the administration, potentially trying to find ways to make repayment easier. I think in previous administrations, people understood that these financial consequences of default are very real for students and borrowers and their families at a time when we're seeing, cost of living go up, housing, childcare, all these different costs that are really stretching families thin. So that is why there was really this attempt to make repayment easier on families and trying to create repayment plans that were more affordable, that could provide relief. That is not what we're unfortunately seeing right now out of this administration at a time when a lot of these flexibilities are coming up.
So folks just might as well prepare themselves because they're going to come after the money.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think what I would recommend is that if you do have student loans, if you haven't been making payments, you should contact your servicer. The Department of Education, says that you can contact them to figure out what your next step is to make a payment. So, I would make sure that I would contact the servicer. I would contact the Federal Student Aid Office and see what your options are. Make sure that you understand what plan you're on, whether you can get on a more affordable plan in order to avoid delinquency or default. The problem is, I don't know that you will get your questions answered or your call answered. So I would say, I would urge people that if you can't get through to somebody, then you really should make your voice heard with your member of Congress and really make them understand that, you're trying your best, you're trying to get in touch with the agency, you're trying to make it right. But sometimes it's going to be really difficult, again, because of the staff cuts. So I think those are the big things for people to know right now. There aren't a lot of options. There's not a lot of clarity. So I would, actively reach out again to the Department of Education to the extent that you can get through to your servicer or to your member of Congress.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Roxanne, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You know what, Teresa? Again, elections have consequences, and there were so many people who were whining, complaining, moaning, oh, Biden's not doing enough. Well, what you gonna do now?
Well, what most people are gonna do is hopefully reach out to their student loan provider and try to get on a monthly payment schedule, like I did. I think when the first announcement came out, obviously we was all waiting for Biden's plan to get it across the finish line. But again, the roadblocks in the Supreme Court also halted that opportunity to alleviate so much payment debt from so many. But now, again, we're, instead of being alleviated from all these student loan debt payments, we're now being forced to pay in full. And so, you and your guest was totally right when it comes to like elections have consequences, and those consequences are, meeting us exactly where we are in our home and in our everyday life. So when people are complaining about eggs, just remember, you now have to pay a student loan debt that's 3 times the cost of what it is to purchase eggs at this moment.
Mustafa?
I mean, it's just the continual foolishness of this administration. I mean, so you got people who are in survival mode, right? There are so many people trying to keep the lights on, trying to put food on the table. They literally just trying to survive. I had a few folks who I know who actually reached out to the Department of Education because they were trying to, figure out what they could do and how they could, rectify some situations. They just couldn't get anybody to answer the phone, or, they get transferred. So you've got that dynamic when you have the hollowing out of these agencies and departments. And then you got, the impacts that are going on. Like they said, wage garnishments, you got tax refund offsets. That means that you think you're getting a tax return and you're not going to get it because they're going to use it toward whatever the balance is. And then the other thing that follows people for a long time is the negative credit report stuff. Somebody's got to do something differently. Here's the last thing, too. You know how Trump always talks about how he loves, these Norwegian countries, whether it's Norway or Finland or Sweden or Denmark or Iceland, all these countries that he often, wants to emulate. It's interesting because all of them, if you are a student and you want to go to a university or a college that's public, it's free. So that's actually where we should be headed. But in this moment, we got to deal with this particular issue. Pick up the phone, send an email, go up to Capitol Hill and let folks know that you have some concerns here and that you're trying to get it right, but that is causing you some significant, distress and harm. And for some folks, it's going to put them in a bad situation because once you get negative credit, it just follows you around like a ball and chain. So, but as you said before, you get what you vote for. You had the opportunity to actually have somebody who understood what it means to be out there grinding and to be out there trying to do the best that you can. And you decided that wasn't the individual that you wanted. And then you had someone who is a billionaire who's never had to worry, or his children never had to worry about going to college and paying for it. And you chose the individual who has absolutely no idea who you are and doesn't care about you. So once again, you get what you vote for.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
All right, folks, I have consistently said that Donald Trump and his thuggish MAGA administration wants to consistently attack black people, They do not care about these thug cops who also beat and harm people. And I was on social media earlier today, and Megan Cundiff, a legal affairs reporter, posted a tweet about a story that was outrageous. Convicted of beating a black woman. That sheriff is going to get sentenced next month. Well, the U.S. attorney goes before the judge and says they want a delay in the case because he wants to review this case. And the judge is like, I'm sorry, you got time between now and the sentencing, so no, there will not be any delay in sentencing. Megan Cundiff joins us right now. Megan, glad to have you on the show. This is crazy to me. We've seen this. Trump, when he got inaugurated, he issued a pardon for a cop who they chased down and they shot a black man in Washington, D.C. We've seen other stories where they are pulling out of settlements that in Alabama, a case in Louisiana regarding petrochemical companies. But when it comes to cops, they literally are letting cops get away with heinous crimes because Trump does not believe that they need to be adjudicated. Walk us through what happened with this item you posted today.
And I think it's with that background that you provided that people are a little worried on the victim side, at least, about what's going to happen with the attorney or with the U.S. attorney wanting to review this case. Because, of course, the prosecutors have so far taken an aggressive stance here against this. They've opposed the motion for acquittal, directed verdict from his attorneys. But, of course, that was before Trump appointed this new guy in. And the first indication we got that he might have a different view on the case occurred when they asked for this long 3-month delay in a sentencing. And this is a case that only took 3 days to actually try before a jury. But for some reason, they said, we don't want to do the sentencing in May. Can we do it in August now? And, of course, the defense wanted to go along with that because they're hoping that this new U.S. attorney somehow persuades the judge to throw the case out, but they're in a bit of a bind because the prosecutors already have a conviction. So the prosecutors might be in a place where they're trying to almost undermine their own conviction, but the conviction still stands, and it's really up to the judge whether to throw it out, and he's already said no.
And again, so give us the background of this case. What happened?
So this was outside of a WinCo. I think those are pretty specific to the West Coast, Washington, Idaho, Nevada, California, and Oregon. But they're grocery stores, and a deputy responded to a robbery call there, and a couple, the woman who is the victim here and then a man she was with supposedly matched the description of the robbers. And the prosecutors in their case against this deputy say that the two deputies did everything right with the man, that they were able to de-escalate the situation and take him into custody without incident. But the woman was filming this and telling them that she was filming it. She was even telling them that, hey, I've got this on YouTube Live. And the prosecutor's theory is that this one deputy really didn't like that, and he wanted to retaliate against this woman. It just made him mad that he was being filmed like that, and he ended up taking her to the ground and pepper spraying her. And of course, this is all on body camera footage. And the police said that, the prosecutor said that he had no justifiable means to do that. That was excessive force, and that was the case they presented to the jury. And the jury said, yes, that's excessive.
Okay, so deputy sheriff, excessive force against this black woman, does nothing wrong. They go to trial, last 3 days. Jury says, you're right. He gets convicted. They set a sentencing. Now, Trump's U.S. attorney wants to come in and say, hey, we want to review the case. And, okay, it's already done. It's already done. And this judge said, what the hell? That's 3 weeks, 4 weeks before sentencing. You got time to review it in a month.
Yeah. The judge was really saying, why would you need more time than the time that you already have right now to review this? And it was interesting because I went there expecting the new U.S. attorney to be there, wanting to talk about this case, but he just left this to the line prosecutors who were there trying to explain why they should delay a sentencing for 3 months. And it was an awkward dance. They were dancing in front of the judge for sure, and he really didn't buy it. I mean, it was 6 minutes of a kind of back and forth, and then he just said, motion denied, sentencing proceeds on the 19th. So it's a big question of what are they going to recommend for this guy. The maximum is 10 years in prison, and it's unlikely under any circumstances that he would face the maximum. But you would expect prosecutors to recommend some kind of prison sentence. But I think people are worried, people who support this prosecution are worried that it's going to be undermined from the inside now.
Well, first of all, I mean, let's look. We see what happened, and where 3 prosecutors today in New York City resigned in the case dealing with Mayor Eric Adams, where they issued a scathing letter where the Trump administration was trying to pressure them to, frankly, lie about not being pressured, and they quit. And what we're seeing where Trump's U.S. attorneys are coming into office and literally undoing cases, crapping on the work of prosecutors who say, no, we got us a conviction, that's our job. And when it involves cops, especially involving cops, Trump wants to let those cops off scot-free.
Yeah, I think a lot of people see it that way. And what some people are concerned about is they indicate in court yesterday that Bill, the new U.S. attorney in L.A., this is not the only case that he's reviewing right now. So I've asked the U.S. Attorney's Office, Public Information Office, if they can say what other cases are being reviewed here, and I've yet to hear back. So we'll see.
Well, and the reason the folks with the victim had better be concerned, because in January, literally, when Trump let the January 6th domestic terrorists free via pardons, he also pardoned 2 cops in Washington, D.C., who were convicted in the 2020 death of Karan Hilton Brown. These cops were found guilty of second-degree murder, conspiracy to obstruction of justice in connection with the death. And what was crazy to me is that Washington, D.C. Did not like the fact that these cops are being prosecuted. They felt they could have handled this with an administrative hearing, and the U.S. Attorney's Office was like, no, this should actually go to trial. They were convicted. Trump pardoned those cops for that. And so I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be shocked if this judge, no matter what he sentences with, that Trump turns around and pardons this police abuser.
Exactly. And I've heard from this police officer's camp that really is supporting him that's what they're going for, that they've gone to Washington, D.C. And I'm a little amazed at their use of the word lawfare and their insistence that this must have been a political prosecution. Because just having reported on federal cases in Los Angeles for a few years, the unit that prosecuted this police officer, it's the Public Corruption and Civil Rights Unit of the U.S. Attorney's Office. And they're supposed to be nonpartisan, but really when you look at the cases that they've done, at least the cases that I've covered, most of the people they've prosecuted that I've written about have been Democrats. So the idea that there's somehow just these, neoliberals that are just going on, anti the Trump agenda, it's not true at all. But then you have some people on the other hand who actually appear to be playing politics with this case. They got somebody in office that appears to not like what the jury did, and they're hoping that they can get him to try to bend the case to their will. I mean, it seems like they're the ones trying to play politics with it.
But unfortunately, Megan, it is the anti-Trump agenda. Trump is anti-civil rights. And I guarantee, and so Trump does not believe in civil rights. He said during the campaign, he wanted to give cops 100% immunity. We tried to warn people about this, and that the problem here is that this was not a state prosecution. So I got to ask you this. Was this officer, was he tried by the state, or did the state step away and allow the feds to move forward? Because so if that's the case, so the only way Trump can intervene if it's a federal case, was there ever a state prosecution?
The state prosecutors in L.A. did look at the case. They did not prosecute him. That's why it was federal. And that's actually something that his supporters are pointing at. And it's not the worst point, because George Gascon, who was in L.A. and didn't prosecute him, does like to prosecute cops. I mean, the idea that Gascon would not prosecute someone who deserved to be prosecuted, they were really pointing to, if Gascon wouldn't take this case, the prosecutors must have been really out of line to take this case. But I think there's a a whole nother side to that. And in the end, from what I've seen from their defense, it's everything that was presented to a jury. And the overall defense is that he was following policy and that they all do this in these situations. So I think it's a little bit alarming that 12 people in LA County or the federal jury area around LA heard all this and saw the video of her being pepper sprayed and still said, this is out of line. We shouldn't have officers doing it. And the police response to this is not to take it to heart and wonder about this. Maybe some are, but overall, the response is that they're being unfairly treated and that this is just
because that does tell exactly with what Trump thinks. He believes, and a lot of these conservatives believe, and these cops believe that they should be able to do whatever they want. We know for a fact the last time the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon in chief sat in the Oval Office, Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr specifically said they were pulling back from consent decrees. They all decried the morale of cops. Then you've got so-called progressives, liberals like Bill Maher, who praised Trump restoring the morale of cops. And let's just be honest. Police in this country cannot stand oversight, and they can't stand accountability. And anytime a single cop is held responsible, their response is like some petulant child, and they respond with, we're not going to police, we're not going to answer calls, oh my God, this is unfair. I mean, you rarely ever see a cop say, you know what? That asshole should no longer be on the force. No, they are protective of each other because they say, oh, it might be us one day, and we want the same protection.
Yeah, one of the deputies, the sheriff's deputies who are supporting this guy, one of their ways of protesting this conviction, there's an annual relay. It's Baker to Vegas. It's a big marathon, happens every year. It's the prosecutor's office is really big into it. The police officers always form teams for it. Some of the deputies actually boycotted the relay as a way of protesting this conviction. I mean, it's the thin blue line and the whole idea that being blue is somehow an ethnicity or something that they seem to latch onto.
Well, I'm going to call it the thick blue line because we see this all around the country. The folks supporting the victim, how are they responding? What are they doing? Are they just hoping the judge do right? Are they any public pressure? What are they doing in this case?
Yeah, I think they're hoping for a lenient sentence, but really it's a pardon that they need right now because the problem for them is their guy came in after the conviction already happened. So once there's a conviction, it's in the judge's hand. And he actually issued a ruling on Friday saying, no, the conviction stands. So maybe there's a chance he would give a lenient sentence, but the conviction will always be there. So I think they're hoping they can get Trump to issue a pardon on this. And it's interesting because the police aren't completely uniform on this. He has some vocal supporters. The former sheriff in LA County is one of them. But the current sheriff is, I think, takes a little bit of a different tone. And so it's not completely unified, but it's still, I think they're still clamoring for that pardon. So we'll see.
Well, for folks who don't know, that former sheriff was the one who I'll call him a thug, and then he lost, and then he tried to run for re-election. And did he switch parties? So explain what happened there because he had some serious problems.
Yeah, he's a story all in himself. And as far as I know, at least through the years, Villanueva has been a Democrat, but he definitely embraces the fake news aspect of the MAGA agenda for sure. But he's definitely been on the deputy side, Deputy Kirk's side, and he was in court for him. And there's even video after the verdict of them hugging in the hallway outside the courthouse.
Yeah, but he was also the one. Didn't he also launch an investigation into reporters who were reporting on some cases?
Yes, all sorts of that stuff. All sorts of that stuff. He's not a friend to the press, that's for sure.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, for the woman who was beaten here, I really think, and I'll be perfectly honest, knowing how this is going to turn out, I think the solace they're going to have is that the guy was convicted. Whatever the judge sentences him, I would not be shocked, and I will put money on it, that within a week of this sentencing, it may be the next day, Trump is going to pardon this cop.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to find out in less than a month. Then it seems like so May 19th, and then they've got to file their papers too, saying in the weeks before, saying how much time they're gonna ask for him. So it'll be interesting to see the tone on that. But Roland, I think you're predicting the future here. We might be talking about this later on.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, we have to deal with this constantly, and where this man does not believe that cops should be held accountable for anything, and he said that he wants 100% immunity. So, as he said, they can do their jobs, and these cops know that with Donald Trump, they have a 100% license, and that's why people like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and these conservatives are calling for Trump to pardon the cop that killed George Floyd on the federal charges. They want him to pardon him on those charges because they know that they have somebody in office who's going to use the pardon power to let cops go free.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a real life example play out here over the next few weeks here in LA. So I'm so glad you're interested in the case.
Well, we've been covering these things. This is what we warn people about with Credit 2025. We warn people. And this is also why on social media I've been challenging all of these black MAGA folks by saying, if y'all so-called claim that you support black people, it's amazing how they are eerily quiet on every single move that Donald Trump makes that's anti-black until they expose exactly who they are. So we'll keep looking forward to it. Look forward to see what this judge does.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time.
Megan, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I want to bring in my panel right now, Dr. Mustafa Santiago Lee, former senior advisor for environmental justice with the EPA out of D.C., Teresa Lundy, principal and founder of TML Communications out of Philadelphia, also Eugene Craig, CEO X Factor Media, Baltimore, Maryland. Glad to have all three of you here. Eugene, I'll start with you. And I said it. Okay, we don't have Eugene. Let me know when Eugene is here. But look, I made it clear, Mustafa, Donald Trump does not give a damn about black people. He is anti-black. His agenda is anti-black. And he is absolutely pro-cop. He doesn't care if these cops kill people, beat people, maim people. He is going to let them off.
Yeah, I mean, and his policies speak to that. He doesn't have any policies that are protective of our communities. He's actually been trying to erode many of the policies at the various agencies that could help us to be able to find justice. The individuals that he hires as a part of his staff, both at the White House and at these federal agencies, also have no record of ever being supportive of the needs that exist inside of our communities. And evidently, he doesn't also care about the facts that are out there, the studies that have shown that, on the conservative side, over 300,000 folks each year in our country end up dealing with this type of police violence. We've got over 100,000 injuries that happen every year, and everybody knows the statistics around the fatal encounters. Like, I think in 2024, we had over 1,300 people, and we know that black folks are 3 times more likely to be the recipients of violence, of police misconduct, of false use of force. So whether it's the facts, the policy, or the individuals that he surrounds himself with, it shows very clearly that our lives don't seem to have the same value as others that he does try and protect and does try and uplift.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been covering this, and Teresa, from day one. I have said that Donald Trump wants to completely destroy the black civil rights and economic agenda. That's what this is all about, pure and simple. He is showing exactly who he is. Teresa, you on mute.
Thank you. And it's unfortunate because the writing was on the wall when he was first elected. in 2016. And yet, folks decided they wanted to put him back in the office. And actually, instead of him taking 4 years to do a destruction, he's now doing it within under 100 days. And I think, as we, all try to figure out how to navigate, Trump, his team, his policies, I think, the rule of law is really going to have to be our blueprint here on how we govern as a society, but also being very aware of the tactics that they're doing. We've seen what Trump administration has been doing in the justice system, where, basically he's creating signals to law enforcement officers that, if something goes down, we got your back. And it's unfortunate because, as Mustafa said, it is affecting our communities and our neighborhoods. But I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Democrats just, need to get aligned, not only in their communication, but in unification on strategies ahead.
Well, I don't know what the light at the end of the tunnel is, because the reality is, Mustafa, unlike in previous years, we cannot look to. I mean, I'll dare say this here. Even if I factor in Nixon, Reagan, both Bushes, and to some degree, this thug's first administration, this will be the first time since the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division was created that we cannot, under any circumstance, look to the federal government for any help prosecuting road cops.
Oh, that's exactly right. And I've worked with folks at the Department of Justice and Civil Rights Division and in other divisions that are there. There is no longer, there never has been a safe harbor in relationship to the impacts that are happening inside of our communities. But now you have folks who are intentionally making sure that they are deconstructing any possibility of us finding justice or equity in relationship to how they move. So we as a community have to make sure that we are helping to keep ourselves protected. We have to be smart and strategic about where we find ourselves and how we move. And that's not saying that that is right. I mean, as American citizens, you should be able to do and say whatever the Constitution allows. But we also have to understand the moment that we are living in. And this is a very dangerous and deadly situation that is lining up. For me, the North Star is actually the midterms. And that doesn't mean that anything is going to significantly change, but we can begin to balance out power. We can have folks on Capitol Hill who can pull people up and have hearings on issues and put pressure. So that is still a little ways off. So we have to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep ourselves safe and to make sure that we are truly living as a community. And unfortunately, once again, we have to carry additional weight that we shouldn't have to, but we understand, the history of America. And we just got to make sure that we modify and adapt for the moment to the situations that we're dealing with.
Well, Teresa, the reason I think this is a lot different is because you have an individual who is trying to undo convictions. It was different in the first time when they only launched one police patterns and practice investigation, which was a small police department. I think it was in Louisiana or Alabama. I can't remember which one of the two. Or maybe it was in Mississippi. It was one of them three anti-black states. This is different. This is trying to stop and undo convictions. And then this is using the pardon power, so if they even are convicted, to allow them to go free. This is absolutely unprecedented.
And again, I was honestly talking about when I said the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm hoping that it will be the midterms where we start seeing change. But when we talk about the convictions, It is yes, it's different. It's unseen, it's unheard of. The signs were there early on when he was packing the court. But I do believe that, if we have some of these judges that, do not have the same frame of reference of how they are interpreting the law on these convictions, then I think, and some of these defense attorneys that is going to hold them accountable, I don't think it'll be as serious. I just think the Trump administration is actually trying to see how much they can get away with.
Oh, I mean, they've made it clear what they can get away with. Again, he holds the ultimate pardon if a cop is convicted. I mean, look, they don't care about lying prosecutors. They don't care. Mustafa, we have seen multiple prosecutors in New York City resign because of the Eric Adams case. They don't care. They want lying prosecutors to lie. They are forcing out prosecutors in Washington, D.C. They are forcing out prosecutors all across the country. If you believe in holding cops accountable, Trump's U.S. attorneys are going to likely run you away or fire you if you do not hold the line. This is official Trump policy. We let cops do what they want to do.
Yeah, it's doctrine for them, right? They believe that this is a part of the new world order that they're trying to put in place. It also, gives them that additional flexibility that they've been looking for. We've seen the dynamics around the military and them removing people there or pushing people out. It's the same dynamic when it comes to other parts of law enforcement. Everybody's paid attention to the FBI, some of the other law enforcement agencies, but they haven't been paying as much attention to some of these other dynamics that are playing out. This is just one example of trying to actually run the board, right, to make sure that you have power in all possible ways. And folks need to pay attention to it, but don't just pay attention to it. You've got to also speak out. You've also got to make sure, as we've said earlier, that you understand how important your vote is and make an informed decision about how you want to utilize that. The last thing that I'll say is that we've got to also make sure that people are paying attention to these state attorney generals and making sure that that is a part of their equation when they're deciding how they want to utilize their vote. Because we've got to make sure that not only on the federal side that we have folks who are focused on justice and equity, but on the state and even on the local level and the county level, it's important to make sure that we have the right people who are there also, who are going to follow the letter of the law, but they're going to do it through a lens of understanding how important justice and equity is.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
All right, folks, Tennessee Congresswoman Diane Harshbarger, a Republican, getting some blowback because she called, talking about Representative Al Green, called him a boy. Roll it.
It's been a long time coming for me, and it's an honor.
The people you serve want to see you.
they saw me at the inauguration because we kind of forced our way into the front. And that's another story for another day. But then they saw me at the State of the Union, too, and I saved that seat from 9:30 that morning. And who am I sitting across from? Al Green, that gets the first member to ever get ejected. I'm like, Lord Jesus, I was on front of every magazine from here to Knoxville. But
attorneys will get in a courtroom and they'll fuss and fight with each other, but as soon as it's over, they go out to dinner, have coffee, whatever.
Yeah,
do Congress people do that?
Well, Lord Jesus, they make money that way, Queen. They get up and rant and rave and tweet or X or whatever it is. And
hold their signs up during the State of the
No,
Union.
that's not me. I wanted to go over there and grab a few of them, but Al Green was over here with his cane, and I'm like, gosh, dang it, boy, put that. He does not need that cane. That cane is a prop. I swear it's not real. And I'm wondering, one of my colleagues said, screw the gold part off of that, see if there's a gun in there. I'm like, I don't know about that man. He's just Weird Al.
First of all, she claims all the attention she got. Literally, y'all, I don't even know who the hell she is. I ain't never heard of this woman. I have never heard of this congresswoman. So, I don't know. You should be thanking Al Green, because the only reason we even mentioning your country ass is because of what she said. Here's Congressman Al Green at a news conference.
Except for today to communicate. And there's also a reference that was made to my cane. I'll talk about all three of these, and then each person here will have an opportunity to speak as well. We're all going to try to be as brief as possible. But this is a topic that many people are very passionate about, both of these topics, meaning the slur on the LGBTQ plus community, as well as a slur on black men. Boy, this is especially sensitive for me because as a child, I remember my father being stopped by a peace officer, and the officer referred to my father as boy, and my mother was girl. And it wasn't just that one time. It was the way society addressed people of color who were of African ancestry at the time. It wasn't said to indicate that you were youthful. It was said to demean, to degrade, to denigrate. It was said such that you would know your place in society. And it was something that you would immediately have said to you. I can remember the child of an Anglo male calling my father boy, the child. My mother was called girl in the presence of her friends on one occasion. Friends, it's not about Al Green. It's about whether black people in this society are going to allow slurs such as this to be normalized. We cannot allow the normalization of these kinds of slurs.
Lauren, your thoughts?
Tennessee, Roland. You ever notice how it's always Tennessee? I wonder why that is. You know the history, right? Tennessee. Here we go. And you're right. I had never heard of this member of Congress, and I cover Congress. So I was very surprised to see it. I was like, is that woman a congresswoman? I'm glad Al Green is out saying something about this, and that there are people still in Congress who do bring up and don't just sit there and not say anything when these things happen, because increasingly what we find is that nobody says anything. We're talking like racism is not disqualifying. That's just a fact. Racism in politics is not a disqualifying factor, as we found out last November. So I'm glad that he's saying it. He should speak out and speak up, and more Democrats have to join him. We seem to be the only group that never gets joined when something like this happens. And then we're expected to join other groups when stuff happens, to them on their watch and this type of thing when it's something bigoted. So I'm glad he's speaking up. Al Green is a special character, and so good for him.
Yeah, it's always Tennessee, Rebecca. But how dumb? That kind ain't real. That kind ain't real. Girl, Rebecca gone. See, they gonna make me cuss on this Wednesday. Go ahead.
Diana knew what she was doing. My great-great-grandfather was Henry Carruthers was enslaved in Tennessee. She knows what that means when she said boy, and she said it so casually and kind of just said it like she was saying something so funny, and it was trying to be coy. It's like, come on. Here's the other thing about Congressman Al Green. We shop at the same grocery store. I've seen him with groceries and using his cane. It's a mobility aid because he needs it. I would say that this would be beneath Miss Diana, but considering we really don't know what she does, we really haven't even heard of her. I mean, this just might, okay, cool. She got her 15 seconds. Al Green is a better person than her.
It's a little hard to be, it's something beneath her, Joe, when she already at the bottom of the barrel.
Right, exactly. First, shout out to my family, Justin Robinson of the Houston Area Urban League. Saw him in the picture there. Have to text him. But yeah, what's bad? It's not like she said, "Oh boy." It's not like she was above board and above level, other than this slip up. To Rebecca's point, she's making a lot of personal slights. Oh, he doesn't need his cane, and he's only want to get thrown out of a State of the Union session, and all of these other things that have nothing to do with her and her constituents, frankly. And so, that's what you're dealing with. And there's this problem with normalizing racism. And she did slide it in. She knew what she was doing when she said boy, because you know what? You or I can't be in certain rooms and slip up and say things like that. So she should be penalized for not saying that, for saying the wrong thing as well. But if you don't care, that's how you get down. See, that's what DEI is. Here's somebody, we didn't know nothing about her. She could have been in Congress for years. We don't know her from a hill of beans. We didn't know nothing about her until she had something to say about Al Green. Now, how impactful is she if you and I and we don't know anything about her? But maybe that's what the DEI is that they be talking about.
Diana Harshberger ain't nothing but a hillbilly from Tennessee. Just a country ass bumpkin from Tennessee. It's as simple as that. And if you go to Memphis or Nashville, wouldn't nobody know who the hell she is.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
These nutcases in the Trump administration, all of a sudden they're fixated on America's low birth rate. We've discussed this on many times. Elon Musk is constantly talking about it. That's why he's got something like 15, 20, 30 kids, because he wants to try to have as many white kids as possible in this country. A lot of these conservatives who oppose abortion, it's all about low white birth rates. If you look at what's happening around the world, white people are not having babies. And so one of the reasons you see people angry about immigration in America, it's the same reason they're mad about immigration in Germany, immigration in Italy, immigration in England, immigration in Ireland, because white people worldwide are not having as many kids. The world is becoming more brown. That's what this is all about. Joining us right now is Thana Hickman, CEO and founder of Viola's House. Thana, glad to have you here. The Trump folks are talking about a $5,000 check, a bonus, whatever the hell. I saw these white women on Fox News talking about it. I saw Whoopi Goldberg discussing it. And let's just be clear. I've been telling our people, this ain't got nothing to do with us. This ain't got nothing to do with Latinas. It ain't got nothing to do with black women. This is about the Trump administration trying to incentivize white women to have kids.
That is absolutely correct, Roland. Thank you for having me. First of all, it's not our business what we do with our kids. Let me be clear with that. The conversation does not need to be, how do we have more babies? The conversation needs to be, how do we get every child in America to actually thrive? And the way to do that is to provide more housing, more access to health care, more educational services, providing incentives for having a child is just dangerous, especially when Black women are dying at 3 to 4 times more than any other rate. It is dangerous, and we cannot focus on that. We have to focus on the services that are needed for these children to thrive. There's no access to health care. There's no access to quality education, housing, and those are the things that are needed right now. But to incentivize without supporting more maternal care is just dangerous right now.
See, here's what's amazing to me. You've got Elon Musk and Doge and Donald Trump getting rid of USAID, hurting and killing food programs around the world that's leading to people dying. You had a woman in Myanmar where they cut off the money flow. This was the first program they cut off. This woman was dependent upon oxygen and she died. So I'm confused. The folk who support ending USAID programs, support ending food programs in sub-Saharan Africa, support shutting off food banks in the United States for folk to get food, now want to incentivize women to have babies, but you need women to be healthy with food so they can birth healthy children. But you're now saying $5,000 again. They are not talking about poor people. They ain't talking about poor white women. They're not talking about Black women or Latina women or Asian women. They are talking about white college age women. That's what this is all about. So I don't want nobody Black thinking, oh, they get us a $5,000 check. They don't give a damn about no Black babies.
Exactly. And the Black community really needs to consider that the healthcare system is biased. The training is implicitly biased, and this will not work in our favor to take an incentive like this without there being any resources available right now for maternal health. We just finished Black Maternal Health Week. We heard so many stories of husbands losing their wives, grandmothers raising their children, their grandchildren, because we are losing our Black women due to the healthcare system when they choose to give birth. We need to shift our focus now, and we're working directly with the White House, Roland. I was just there 3 weeks ago talking about our maternity housing program because the funding for maternity housing has been cut. And so we're working with them, making them understand the importance of maternal care. Programs like AmeriCorps has just announced that they're looking to cut that. That's the workforce development that nonprofits use so that we can continue to provide the maternal care services. We focus on the social determinants of health, and not incentivizing mothers to have more babies in our communities will directly be impacted by this.
Yeah, so you can't sit here. I mean, listen, y'all deal with women who have unplanned pregnancies. These pro-lifers don't give a damn. Don't give a damn about that. They don't see if the pro-lifers actually gave a damn about these women. You should have $100 million in your bank account.
Well,
see, I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. See, and this is my whole deal. This is why when I challenged a control room, I need to get that clip ready. When I challenged a black Trump supporter, a black female conservative, I said, no, you are anti-abortion. You are not pro-life. I said, y'all want to y'all want to end Affordable Care Act. Y'all want to make cuts to Medicaid expansion. Y'all want to cut Social Security. You're cutting housing grants. You're cutting DEI programs. You're cutting job training programs. You're cutting. So if a woman, so let's be real clear. They ain't providing services for daycare. So let's just really, if we want to break this thing down, listen, I have not had biological children, but I've raised 6 of my nieces. And I know what it was like when my twin nieces came to live with us. And all of a sudden, boom, I got to get daycare. That's $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So you want to incentivize. So you want to incentivize. Then you got Republicans who want to put work requirements into more programs. But the problem is, if you're a woman and got a kid, but you want to put work requirements in, I now got to make a determination. Oh, for me to get SNAP benefits, I have a work requirement. But if I get a job, who's going to take care of my kid? Because daycare is too much. You ain't incentivizing that. This is why this program is bullshit. They are trying to incentivize white suburban women, white college women. That's what this is about. This is not about black and brown women.
But Roland, the problem is that demographic doesn't need the incentive, and it's our demographic that will fall for the incentive. You will have teens giving birth and homeless. You will have people in the Black community giving birth with a lack of access to resources. It's going to put more strain on the social services that nonprofits provide. It is going to increase the need for food stamps. It's going to increase the need for Medicaid. What will happen is an incentive like this will appeal to the wrong demographic, because that demographic doesn't need the incentive.
Right.
Absolutely. And that should not be the focus on how do we get more babies. We've got to focus on the babies that are here, that are at hand, from the womb to the tomb. So if they are here, we've got to focus those resources on the babies and the families that are needing the resources now, without incentivizing to bring more babies here into the communities with the most disparities.
If y'all have the clip ready, go ahead and run it. Tate Reeves is not doing it in Mississippi. And so what I'm saying is this here. No. What I'm saying is this here. When I listen to Republicans talk about being pro-life, what I want to know is where their pro-life stances when it comes to Head Start. Where their pro-life stances when it comes to prenatal care. Where their pro-life stances when you have black women who have a high rate of dying in childbirth. Where are your pro-life policies when it comes to when it comes to infant mortality? What I'm saying is when you are a Republican in the state of Mississippi, and you push a law that the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, and you are ill prepared to handle the 5,000 new babies, maybe because the money that you could care for the poor went to Brett Favre.
That's right.
And all I want to see is the governor of Mississippi, who's opposing Medicaid expansion, seeing rural hospitals shut down in his state, and you got white women and black women who are dying, and Republicans control the legislature. They control the governor's mansion. So don't tell me they are pro-life when they are unwilling to accept Medicaid expansion, but then they say we don't want to accept federal money from the federal government when they send $1 to the federal government and they get $4 back.
When you look at this concept, what you're saying to me right now is that because you believe that Republicans are not supporting pro-living, I disagree. I look at the Republican support for community health centers. I look at the Republicans trying. Where? Everywhere, Roland.
South Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama. They all are against Medicaid expansion and rural hospitals. Are you telling me? Are you telling me rural hospitals? Are you literally telling me that rural hospitals in Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina are not shutting down? Are you actually telling me that?
I am not telling you that, but
so
what
therefore,
I am saying,
if they're shutting down, how then are the people able to get care? How?
Roland, what I am saying is that there are, when we talk about aborting babies, so you're saying to me that because we support life, actually giving babies the opportunity to live, I'm confused.
Baby born. I'm so confused. First of all, hold up. You're confused because you think I'm saying something that I'm not.
Well, tell me what you're saying.
What I'm telling you, I'm being very clear. You cannot say you are pro-life when you vote against prenatal care for the mother. You cannot say you are pro-life when you vote against Head Start. You cannot say you are pro-life when you do not want to expand Medicaid to keep hospitals open. You cannot say you are pro-life when you have OBGYNs who are not available in your state. You cannot say you are pro-life when you have black women who are dying at a higher rate during childbirth and you do nothing public policy-wise to fix it. You cannot say you are pro-life if you allow infant mortality rates to be sky high in areas where there are black and brown people. What that tells me is you are anti-abortion. You are not pro-life. Because if you are pro-life, you care about the child in the womb and when the child is out. And if you are pro-life, you are standing there with black folks when their kids are killed by cops. You are not silent. So if you're pro-life, be pro-life from the womb to the tomb, but not just in the womb.
Simple as that. And I don't mean to be I don't mean to be flippant what I'm about to say, because I want people to understand. The easiest part is to have the child. Let me be real clear. The easiest part of this process, I'm not being flippant, is to birth the child. The hard part is now raising the child. It's healthcare. It's a job. It's housing. It's food. It's education. All the things around that. This is why these people are idiots. They are literally trying to push through a massive tax cut to benefit the wealthy in this country. And they want to drive up birth rates in America, but literally cut the programs that can help somebody raise a child. That is just utterly illogical.
And we are already strained at this point. The nonprofits have lost over 10,000 employees in the last 70 days. And we are the hands and the feet in the community, especially the African-American-led nonprofits. We have a different grit where we understand these communities. We understand the needs. And we are the ones that are suffering with the funding cuts. We have more families coming to our door and our social service agency now more than ever. Roland, we just had to open a second maternity home for mothers over the age age of 30 with multiple children. I just walked into our second maternity home. There's a 37-year-old woman in there who had been living in a general population shelter for 8 months here in Dallas with her 1-year-old and her 4-year-old. We are in unprecedented times. So while we're stepping up to meet the demand of the community, at the federal level, our funds are being cut. We just lost our maternity group home grant, $1.25 million. We are threatened right now to lose 29 of our AmeriCorps members that are client facing and serving the community. We have put in years of workforce development with AmeriCorps members, and now we are under threat to lose those, which will impact our budget. But the need in the community is not going to go away. It is increasing. We gave out over 7 million diapers last year to the community because that's the need that we're seeing. But everything is being cut. And then now we have an incentive program for more babies to come. We've got to focus on the problems at hand, not creating more problems in our community because it impacts our communities. That's where it impacts our communities, not the other demographics.
Y'all are literally helping folk to birth babies, and they're slashing your programs. And that's what you're doing right now. It's absolutely nuts.
Every week we get another notice of something being cut. Every week.
For folks who want to support Viola's House, where do they go?
They can go to www.violashouse.org.
All right, then. Folks, you see right there, their Facebook page, Instagram account, the email, info@violashouse.org. You see the website as well. Thon, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Roland.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.